day 50. I've done 50 days. Holy shit. Okay, so today I actually want to talk about human design. Reason being is that I've had such a major aha moment last night with what I shared in my stories, but I want to dive deeper into it because I was looking into my past of where I've been in and out of alignment with everything human design related. And so I am learning more and more deeper levels of human design now. So I'm in learning the deeper layers and tapping also into my gene keys and learning and understanding what that is. But gene keys is a lot of contemplation. It's a lot more of surrendering. Hey, Dars. A lot more of surrendering and contemplating and, kind of a slow process. So I won't be sharing everything with gene keys right off the bat, but I do want to share about my human design aha moments. And so human design, you have goes in layers, right? So you got your strategy, your authority, your profiles, those are top layers. And then then after that level deeper, you got your centers. And then you have your variables, which is the 4 arrows on top. And then even deeper is your gates and channels. And then you kind of continue going deeper than that. And there's just so many layers. It's the knowledge is endless. And so I've always tapped into my gates and channels. But because of the way I learn and process information and also the way I work with the universe and with my spirit team on how to learn certain things, I don't just do one full course, learn everything about it and all at once. So for me, that's information overload. I do learning things a little bit at a time and embodying it, understand what it means in real life, because there's one thing about reading about human design, there's one thing about reading the gates and channels, but until I actually see it in my life and I actually get real life examples, then that's when it makes sense to me. That's when it clicks. That's when it's aha, and this is how I can teach others and guide others on their human design charts based on my understanding in different scenarios. And so usually with human design, what I start first with my own embodiment. So my own embodiment, and then I want to learn about everybody else. So then this is when I would start observing other people and their embodiment. And usually I start with the people that are closest to me. So, my clients, my sister, and I just observe, and I just kind of make note. And I'm okay, this is their chart and this is how they work. And then this is what happens. And so yesterday's aha moment is basically I was reading on gate 52 because I was tapping into my gene keys with gene key 52, and gene key and human design are connected. But still gene keys different, but it's still, there's a little bit of an overlap, and I kind of connecting the dots and seeing the bigger picture. That's just very much me. So I seeing where the connection is. Between astrology, all the modalities that I've learned, I love connecting the dots. To me, it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating of how it's all interconnected. So I was reading on Gene Key 52, which then I decided I want to kind of dive deeper into Gate 52 in human design, understand what that means. And that is the gate of stillness. And that is basically for someone who has that gate, not in alignment, is basically very difficult to stay still and concentrate and focus. So you either have to find that focus within yourself, or if you have somebody who has gate 9 or a defined sacral with gate 9, then that's how you can kind of plug into their energy and concentrate. So yesterday I realized when I was reading Gene Keys, I was very concentrated, very concentrated. It's the first time I've been super concentrated on something for a really long time. And like, I was like kind of just going with it, running with it. And so then upon reading that gate, I looked at the chart of my roommate, and he has gate 9. I'm like, boom, there we go. And he was literally across from me, drawing. I was amplifying his energy, which that was really cool to see in real life. Like, to see how a projector can amplify a sacral energy, like whether it's in a generator or mani-gen, like to kind of see that happen in real life, that was really neat. And so then I started thinking back, like all the moments where I've needed to concentrate or what did I do. And back in university, I used to study a lot at coffee shops and the library, but the library will never be in the quiet section. It was always in the like the low talking section, because the quiet section was too quiet and I didn't like it. And I'll explain more about why that is. And so that made me, and then even then, like when I do certain like work, anything work related that I want to kind of focus on something in my business, I love going to coffee shops. Like for me, like going to a coffee shop and working out of a coffee shop, like is key. It's amazing. And I thought it was a change of environment, like getting out of the house, and that's what I kind of thought it was, like really. But I realized, no, it's not. It's because I have gate 52, which is an unconscious gate for me. So didn't recognize this before, but I have gate 52, and I'm probably plugging into someone's sacral energy who has a gate 9 in the coffee shop or in the library. Now you're talking about coffee shops that I've usually, like, there's always like around 20 people in their library, hundreds. Like I'm surrounded by like tons of people that are studying. This is pre-COVID times. And I would just basically plug in. And that would give me the focus. So that's like, that was like really cool, recognizing that. And so then I connected it all with my book. So I wrote a book back in May 2020. I wrote it in 2 days. Okay, 2 days. And the reason why I wrote it in 2 days, and my book did well. Like when I launched it, it sold. Like I've sold quite a few copies. I think at the end I probably sold a total of like 50 to 60 copies, which I'm like super stoked on. I'm so happy. And it was the thing, like in my business, like the thing that I've made the most sales on. And I just realized it makes so much sense because I did it all in alignment into like with my human design chart, even though there was parts of it, not all of it, but parts of it, I didn't realize that I was doing it in alignment because I've always been working in alignment. So one, let's go back to basics. Projectors that need to wait for the invitation. My spiritual mentor was the one who suggested the book. She's like, why don't you write a book on the practices you're already doing? What am I already doing? What am I already implementing in my life? And then I knew as a projector, I needed to share my story because I have a defined G with a defined throat, a self-projected, to share like why I use these practices, which that is what I inputted in the book. And also around that time, it was lockdown, so I was not working at the restaurant. I was in complete rest mode, so in complete alignment with my projector energy, not working, literally just chilling and tanning and hanging out with friends. I was like walking and doing all sorts of things, but not working and having fun and playing. And I wrote the book in a coffee shop, 2 days in a coffee shop, probably plugging into a sacral energy, and there may be someone who has gate 9 to focus. And also it came so easy to me, like no big deal. Like when I wrote it, I was like, okay, yeah, I wrote it. That's my profile too, the hermit, where we have gifts. Like hermit has gifts that don't recognize their gifts because the gifts come so easy to them. And that is what the hermit is. Then you want to go deeper. Determination. Determination is how you process food and information. Mine is nervous. So when I'm eating, I'm always making sure I have like the TV on or some music in the background, or eating in restaurants. It helps me digest food, but not only food, but information as well. And so being in a coffee shop, the hustle and bustle of the environment of like moving around, the background noises is how I process information. Hence writing this book, hence studying in the library with an area that has noise, or studying in the coffee shop. It's where I can focus and I can process and absorb what I'm writing and what I'm doing. Then my motivation is desire. So doing something that lights me up. The minute like I have that motivation, I desire something, it flows so easily. And that's how I wrote the book in 2 days. My environment, markets. When you look at a coffee shop, you get to like, it's organized, it's pretty, so it's comfortable. I always pick coffee shops that have an aesthetic to them. And the coffee shop I went to had a nice aesthetic to it. And being able to pick and choose what I want to drink, what I want to eat, pick and choose like where I want to sit, and sitting where it feels right, and I remember one of the days I sat inside, but the other days I sat outside because it was a nice day and it was warm and it was May. And the sun coming out, and it just like, it was so nice, and I had the view of the mountains in the background. I was living in Whistler at the time. And so when you start looking at the bigger picture of human design, and you start understanding how you've embodied your chart, it's crazy. Like there's some stuff in there, in that whole process, that I embodied subconsciously. I didn't realize, but it's part of my design and part of who I am. And then because I was just beginning to learn about human design, what it means to be a projector, because I learned that in March 2020, then I was slowly applying that. So applying what I knew about my strategy, waiting for the invitation, my authority, and using that, how to write my book, and making sure I was well rested as a projector and being mindful of my energy. So I used those things, but then the rest kind of came naturally because I was already in alignment with the basics. And so sometimes we can get wrapped up in the deeper stuff. We can get wrapped up in the gates and the channels and the variables and all those things, which is amazing. But what Ra even says this is like, always go back to your strategy and your authority. And that's what I did at that point. I was like, I didn't know the gates at that point. I didn't know what the variables were. Like I kind of had an idea about the arrows, and I was like, left, right, but I didn't know what I know now. But because my strategy and authority were in alignment with who I am as a projector, waiting for the invitation, and using my honoring my energy as a projector, the rest just came naturally, because strategy and authority trump the rest. And then the rest are just like the cherries on top. It's a thing to like kind of tune, and you'd be like, okay, this is one little thing. Like now I know I'm more aware about my nervous determination. So before I wasn't aware about my nervous determination. I thought like, oh, maybe I should be eating in silence and no distractions. And I did it. It felt weird, but I did it because I was like, oh, whatever, maybe that's how I'm supposed to eat. But then when I found out that no, like I'm meant to be eating with distractions and like things happening, like whether it's music playing in the background or watching TV, like, or talking with someone, I'm meant to. That's how my body digests food. So when learning about that, I just became more consciously aware of making a point of like, okay, this is how it is. Whereas, like not knowing it before, I would do it sometimes, not do it others, because I thought I needed to eat it like with quietness or something. And so there's these like little things. So like all of that is just like, they're add-ons. They're amazing add-ons. Sometimes they connect, like they connect in other ways to other parts of your charts. Like, so you can understand certain parts of your chart deeper. But this, again, I've said this many times, it is your chart and it's your experience. So what your chart and your experience and what you're going to figure out with your human design is going to be completely, even if you are a 2-4 self-projected with, just like me, with the top 4 centers defined, if you have that, you can take some things that I've figured out with what I just shared, but other things might not resonate with you, and that's okay, because it's your chart, it's your experience, and we're not going to have the exact same chart, because your determination and your motivation may be different as mine. You may not have gate 52. I do. And so just wanted to share, I guess, like, how easy things can be when you are in alignment. And I'm still figuring that out in terms of my business. Like, I'm still kind of like in this trial and error, like figuring out what that means. And like, kind of now I'm like, okay, I did it with the book in alignment. I did it with the book. Okay, and how can I translate that to the rest of my business? And sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's like nothing's coming up. So I think I'm in this kind of, I guess, contemplation process. I'm mulling it over and seeing, like, finding the link. That makes sense. Finding the link with how I did that, and then, like, kind of like figuring out the how with like one-to-one coaching, for example. Because I was just like, yeah, the book was just so easy. It was so easy. And even selling it wasn't hard. I didn't mind it. I didn't feel like I was pressured to sell it. I was just like, oh, here's my book. I wrote a book. People are like, oh my God, I want to buy it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so it can be easy, and that's my evidence that it is easy, and that's my evidence to you that it can be easy. So finding the key to the other door of kind of how to do it with the rest of my business. I feel like I'm slowly getting there. I am getting there for sure. I'm unlocking the doors. So that is what I wanted to share about human design and embodiment and what it's like in real life and how it looks like. And so, like, kind of giving you examples of like motivation, determination, environment, gates, centers, all those things. Anyways, if you like this video, please like, share, comment. This was kind of a little bit of a long one. I went on a little bit of a page, but I wanted to also like explain it in a way for you to understand too. So that is kind of why I'm just explaining it all. Anyways, if you are curious about human design, you want to know more about your chart, you want to learn more deeper things, like send me a message, let me know. I still offer human design readings and embodiment. That is something that is one of the things I love. I love doing. I love reading people's charts. They're so much fun. And I've definitely also include embodiment now, because I do believe that sometimes giving you the chart and having you up you go is like, it's good for some people. Some people like take that information, right? They take that information and they're like, okay, cool. And then they go off on their own and they embody it their own way. And then other people just want more guidance. So I wanted to offer both, just because we're not all the same. And I do prefer offering more of like a one-to-one experience, versus like a booklet, for example. But there's many booklets out there that many other human design coaches, readers offer, so that's amazing. And everybody has their own way. I just prefer the personal way. So anyway, that's that. So thanks for listening to my story. And I hope you had a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.